welcome to this later morning taste challenge. We have two interesting products, not widely available, but interesting. I bought this in Meridian, Mississippi. It was introduced in 1936 as ancient age 10-star Kentucky straight bourbon sour mash whiskey. With the interesting gold on gold label, different shades of gold. There may be a 6-year age available as well, because the website lists it as a 6-year age. So I wouldn't be shocked, especially with Buffalo Trace, with all of what they make and then what they also make that they don't tell you about. Same bottle as like McAfee's, but it's different. It's a different texture to the bottle. It's like a rumpled glass, sandy glass. But if you ever seen McAfee's Benchmark Old Number 7, or now currently Canadian Hunter, Canadian blended whiskey, also bottled at Buffalo Trace, that's the bottle. And about 50 other brands. In Louisiana, we get ancient age, all right? The regular cream-colored ancient age label. We can get ancient age preferred, the blended whiskey also in the black label. Not so common, but they have it. Ancient age, very common. Now, Tom Sims, age 4 years, Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey. There's also a 6-year. I know I looked at it directly. Oh, what a mistake. I should have bought it. I saw this. It was like $12, but they had it for $9.99 on a special at a liquor store in McAllen, Texas, close to the Mexican border in 2018. What was the name of that liquor store? Huge place, incredible place, really incredible. My friend David was like, "Oh man, it's a paradise," you know. I was the same way. It's called Feinstein's or Feinbaum. I think it's Feinbaum liquor. Yeah, you know, but they have a number of locations. Whatever, it's right north, about a mile north of the big highway. There's a one big expressway that runs through McAllen and all of that. Interstate. They're changing it to an interstate highway. It's like Interstate Highway something, and then they got different numbers to it, different letters. Interstate Highway something A, B, and C. Anyway, you say, well, I don't care about that because I'm not going down there. Okay, I understand. But anyway, we went, and I'm going to go back. I would like to go back. So this is Tom Sims, age 4 years. Now, I read somewhere it said it was 1956 when they started. But I was checking trademark data today, and the oldest date I could find was 1963, and they said Medley Brothers Distilling owned it. Medley Brothers. But I think there's really a case that Medley Brothers bought it. And then I think Medley got bought by Heaven Hill, the Shapiro family. From what I read about Tom Sims, it was a small distillery that started in Kentucky in 1956. Then in the early 60s, probably about the time this got bought, there was a fire and it burnt down. And like I was reading news reports about it, that they thought it was a suspicious fire, and that some of the witnesses said they weren't even distilling over there anymore, like it had been shut down. I don't know. When you hear the word suspicious fire, it makes you wonder. But anyway, it is not an independent company, and it was not for very long. There really was a man named Thomas Sims. But this is a real brand. It's made by Heaven Hill. It's not some, store brand. You know what I'm saying? It's not real popular. It's not really widely available. But it does exist, and there's a 6-year age, and I would love to try it. And I made a disastrous mistake not buying the 6-year age, which I think was higher proof too. It might have been 90 proof. But anyway, it's no use like getting depressed about it. Distilled in Kentucky. But I noticed on the front of the label it says, especially selected and bottled by Thomas Sims Distillery, Bardstown, Kentucky. Well, that's Heaven Hill, That's Heaven Hill. You don't get to really take a distillery tour there. They take you to the Heaven Hill experience, which is sort of like a showcase tour, but you don't really get to see the actual distillery. When I went to the rival distillery in Bardstown, Barton 1792 distillery, you get to see the actual distillery. But anyway, 80 proof, but it doesn't say distilled by them. Notice it says selected and bottled by them, which means to me that they're not making it. They're buying it from another Kentucky distiller, maybe on the cheap. Maybe it's bourbon that the other Kentucky distiller didn't want or thought was inferior in some way. Who could that be? Well, I guess it could be a lot of people, right? But I don't really care. To me, it tastes good. My friend David, I bought it to like part of the Christmas gift. I gave it to him. Merry Christmas. He didn't like it. I don't like that stuff. I said, are you going to ever drink it? I don't know. He didn't know. I said, well, I'll buy it from you. Or whatever I'll do. I would like to use it for taste challenges. He said, here, you can have it. He just gave it to me. And then later he said, you're an Indian giver. You take stuff back. I said, no, wrong. I got a laugh out of that because I said, no, I was telling you why keep it. You know, he had it full like to here. I'm like, why would you keep a bottle of bourbon in your house for like 25 years and never sip it? There's no point to that. He didn't argue. He knows I'm right. Okay. So anyway, that's it. It's nice looking, right? Kind of amber. You can see through it. Hello. This one, you know, you'll never find it. I never saw it in Louisiana in my life. I bought it, like I said, Meridian, Mississippi. 90 proof, 80 proof. I think that's going to make a big difference. Age 3 years, age 4 years. So, well, it might be balanced out. It might be more difficult than I believe. Now, Heaven Hill makes so many bourbons. It's beyond almost conception. Like, you can't believe it. You say, oh, yeah, they own Old Fitzgerald. They also make Larceny. They make Elijah Craig. They make their own brand, Heaven Hill, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, but they make way more than that. You can't just look at their website. I mean, you can. But Heaven Hill, you got to go to the section that says product specifications. And then they list, like, you pick bourbon. It'll list the main brands. But then you just click where it says bourbon itself. It'll show these other like 20 brands. Aristocrat straight bourbon. I don't know what it is. Quality House. It's like it goes on. And I don't even know if that's all that they make. But anyway, here's the Tom Sims. Well, this is listed. This is listed. Oh, so $9.99 and $15. Well, that was a sale. So let's say $11. It was really $12. So $12 and $15. Is the Ancient Age going to really be $3 better? I mean, I don't know. I doubt it, but it might be. They're both brown, what they call brown liquor. Like a tan, really, though. Not brown, but more like tan. You know the color, tan. You think bourbon is really expensive. It can be. And it can also be really cheap. There's a lot of inexpensive bourbon on the market that's less than $20. Heck, there's a lot that's less than $10. Have I ever tried a bad one? No, I haven't. I'm not a bourbon guy. I don't really like bourbon, but it's fine. And I never tried a bad one. Obviously, there are some better than others, but they got some really strong ones that some of those didn't appeal to me. They were too strong, like the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. I was like, it wasn't bad. In fact, it was probably an A+, but it was too strong. It was like, I would have to add water to, I'd have to make it half water. And then there's Jared just drinking it like it is water. I said, I don't know how you could do that, you know, but whatever. I mean, I got Larceny coming to me because David bought me a bottle. I didn't want him to do that. I really did not want him to do that. It's a nice gift, but I got too much. If you go look in that cabinet, it's, oh, I'm sorry, that beer shelf. It's crazy. It's like nobody needs that much. Oh man, I got Jesse James bourbon. I got Old Charter. Oh, I can't even think of them. There, I got so many. It's going to take years. I mean, it's like, what would be the purpose of buying more bourbon? It's going to take me years to drink all this. I got all these Canadian whiskeys. Crown Royal Black coming up. I'm pretty excited about that. I have all these blended whiskeys. Well, actually, I only have Bankers Club, but I got all these backstock blended that I'm taste challenging against. I got all the, well, I got a little bit of Irish, not really too much. I got the Scotch, which is starting to grow, blended and single malt. The rum is getting out of hand. The cognac and brandy is starting to get crazy. Now the tequila. So it's like, what am I going to do? Review all this and taste challenge it for 1,000,000 years? It's not possible. It cannot happen. I'm having trouble getting through it doing one a day. You say, wait a minute, you can't get done and you're doing 365 a year? I can't. I can just get a little dent in it. Scary, isn't it? This smells clean. It smells really clean. And there's like some, like a bagel, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense because these are corn. So it should smell like cornbread. You know, it should smell like Jiffy corn mix more than a bagel, but it does have like that Thompson bagel. Well, those are sourdough many times or Linders. So maybe this is the ancient age, which is sourdough. It's mild. I mean, it's mild. Oh, it's mild. Oh. What about the wood? There's wood, charred oak, but it isn't strong. It is not strong. All right, over here. Oh, that's the same type thing. Vanilla, oak, charcoal. I know one is 80 proof and one's 90, so you would think there's a big difference. There's got to be a big difference, but there isn't. Not in the nose. And there's no difference in the appearance, so that's kind of confusing, right? Dark Lotus says, hey there again, haven't seen you in a while. I've been around, but I've been posting videos like a person out of control, you know. Gotta put this up. It's a mint. Had it in my pocket. But of course, you might have more important things to do, right? So, but I mean, I've been putting them out like an endless. Oh, look at the carpenter bees. Hate those things. All right, taste. Can't stop them. The guy built that fence. He used no treated wood. It's all just raw wood, no treat, you know, not chemical treated. Still up though, over 10 years later, 15 years. But those bees eat it up. They drill holes all in it. You can hear them. And when it gets warm, like right now, you hear them. They drill a hole up perfectly round too. Amazing. Like totally perfect. Then they'll go left or right and build a long tunnel and lay eggs. And they call that a gallery. Eventually, it'll destroy the fence. But I mean, it might take 40 years to destroy it. So, you know, that man's been departed for worlds, different plane of existence, so to speak, for 8 years. So he's not worried about that fence. The taste is very similar, one to the other. Hello, Max Walt in the Russian Federation. I got people watching from Russia, man. The taste between these two is not remarkably different. They're both vanilla, oak. There's no vanilla in it, of course, but it's oak. The oak has a vanilla flavor, like oak, charcoal, charred oak, corn, a little rye. I think they're rye they use rye. I don't think they use wheat. They might. I don't think so. And some bread from the malt whiskey. They both might be, but 10% single malt whiskey, barley malt. But I don't believe it's much higher than that. It's probably mostly corn, probably 60% corn. No, I'm going to take that back. It's probably 75% corn, 10% rye, so that'd be 85, and 15% wheat, malt, barley malt. Yeah, it might be 75, 10, 10, and 5. This is just my thinking from what I'm tasting. 75% corn, 10% rye, that gives you 85, 10% single malt whiskey, and then 5% wheat. Yeah, that sounds about right from what I'm tasting. Age 3 years or age 4 years. They both have an age statement, which is nice. Tell you how long they're aged. Now, remember, when they put an age statement, that does not mean every whiskey is 4 years old. No. It means the youngest whiskey is 4 years. Now, could they all be 4-year whiskeys? Yeah. But could there be a blend? Could it be a 4-year whiskey, a 7-year whiskey, a 10-year whiskey, all blended together? Yes. Yes. But you can't call it that. You got to go with the lowest age, which is 4, or in this case, 3. Now, some companies get around that by not putting an age statement. But what they'll say is, this is a blend of rum or whiskey between 5 and 7 years old. See, now they'll say that. It's not an official age statement. They're just telling you it's a blend of whiskey between 5 and 7 years old, which they're letting you know the range. The youngest is 5, the oldest is 7. Now, Johnny Walker Blue Label, which cost me $226 plus tax, they got no age statement, and they don't refer to it at all, except on the website, they talk about how they use some whiskeys from distilleries that have been closed for over 50 years, and the whiskey's been aging for over 50 years. So some of the whiskey in there is over 50 years old, been in barrels over 50 years. But then some of it might be only 3 years old, you see. And there ain't no way they could sell a $226 bottle of whiskey and put 3 years on it. People would say, what? So they don't put an age statement at all, which is allowed in the United Kingdom of lockdown and the United States of National Socialism, whatever that country's called. So they don't really discuss age. Now, if you buy Johnny Walker Red Label and look very carefully at the bottle, I mean, you almost have to have microscopic vision. It's so tiny above the barcode, the universal product code. It says the whiskeys in this scotch are at least 3 years old. But I bet you 95% of the people never saw that. Now, if you look at ancient age, you'd think it has no age statement. You're saying got no age statement. And I saw a lot of video reviews where people say no age statement. But if you look at the bottleneck, it says age at least 36 months. It's just nonchalantly placed on there. It's blurry. No kind of fanfare. Whereas Tom Sims is prominently showing age 4 years. Age 4 years. Like Jim Beam. Mila Kunis, remember her? She said, our bourbon is aged 4 long years, 2 years longer than the minimum. That's actually an honest and true statement. The minimum for straight bourbon is 2 years. Jim Beam is aged 4 years. And she was on that 70s show, which I never watched. And she is an immigrant. She's not from America. She's a Russian. I mean, she's American now, and I guess she became a citizen, I guess. But she isn't from America. She's from, like Maxwell, the Russian Federation. And so is that AT&T girl. But she's not from Russia. She's from the Commonwealth of Independent States, but she's from the Soviet Union, but she's from Uzbekistan. You say Uzbekistan? That's right. Look carefully the next time you watch that AT&T commercial at her. What's her name? Lily? That's her stage name, not a real name. Look carefully. You'll notice that she's Asiatic / Caucasian. You don't understand, like she has heritage from both sides of the Caucasus, you know what I mean? So, I mean, not that that's bad. It's not even a disparagement. Just it's like if I'm looking outside and I say, oh, look, the grass is green. Oh, there's some yellow in it. I see that. I'm looking. I have powers of observation. I have the ability to use evidence based on observation and called empirical evidence, which is what I'm doing now with these 2 bourbons. I'm using empirical evidence to determine which is which. I'm having a hard time, honestly. So which of these would I buy? I would go with the Tom Sims because it's $3 cheaper and I really can't taste much difference. And I said that in the previous video, which was even more of an extreme price disparity. It was a good $11, $12. Cooper's Craft is not worth the extra $11. Is it better? No. Is it different? A little bit. It's a little bit different. You insulted him a little bit. But it's not any kind of profound thing. So I don't know. I don't know why people get so like hysterical with these bourbons. They'll be like, no, it's this, it's that. But I'm thinking it's really like you're making it like it's this and that, but really it's like this and that. You know what I'm saying? Like the difference is do this. I don't think the standard deviation for most bourbon is that drastic at all. Now, if the standard deviation for bourbon is doing this, like the worst bourbon in the world is here, but the best bourbon in the world is here, see? But then you'll notice the prices are like this. The prices do that. So that's where the big disparity is. Why are you paying platinum prices, but you're getting something that's, I guess it's a little bit better. And I think the blind taste test points it all out. Now, you say, well, who else is doing blind taste tests? I'm not aware of anyone else, honestly. If I was aware, I would mention their channel. I would literally mention their channel. There's Ethan Leggett. Now, Ethan does a lot of interesting beer reviews. Okay, I'm mentioning his channel. I watch the beer reviews, as he well knows from my comments, which are posted almost every day. Yeah, Kunis married her that 70. Kunis, Ashton Kutcher as well. Yeah. I never watched that show. They used to always talk about it on the football games. Coming up next on Fox, that 70s show. I used to look at the commercials and think, I never watched that. That looks like the worst of television. You know, I'm not into all that glib humor. You say, well, it's very funny. It's so funny. It's not, to me, it's not funny. I don't think glib humor is funny. It's formulaic, it's predictable, but is it really that hilarious? I mean, go watch High Anxiety, or Young Frankenstein, or Blazing Saddles, or That 70s Show, or all the other shows with the glib humor. And or Saturday Night Live. I just don't think they're that funny. I mean, I watch them and I'm looking at them, staring at the screen, thinking, okay, I know what's coming next. You know, I just kind of like know it's almost like you know the pacing of it. It's like the cadence. That's a good term. Like the cadence is in a way predictable. It's almost like a I don't know. It's hard to describe, but if you're used to it, you can kind of say, okay, you know, now I know what's coming next. It's like a canter. It's strange, but it's very noticeable once you get to where you can detect it. But I mean, anyway, I don't care. You say, well, why are you even talking about that? No particular reason, just something I noticed. It's like these bourbons, like you know, kind of like what you're going to get before you get it. What do I know for bourbon? What do I know for glib humor? But and I don't want anybody to interpret the fact. I don't want anybody to think that I'm against any of that. I'm not. Actually, I'm not. But I'm not a fool either, and I do have a mind, and I do notice things. I mean, I have read a lot. All right. Anyway, people say you read too much. I read too much. Go look at that book collection. Some of which I believe. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of what I read, I believe. A lot of it I don't believe. But I think I know which is which. I'm not particularly confident in that, but I think I know which is which. And I'll tell you why. I think this one is a little stronger. It's got a little more body to it, a little more presence, which I think is coming from 90 proof. And the stars look very different today, says Nina Yordi. Yeah, because I saw that Carling Black Label. King of the Dots, Gary says, bourbons generally don't change too much, but I guess they're, you mean THERE, there. That's a problem word for a lot of people, including myself, but I'll check when I edit my own comments. I'll notice that there, like their dog is missing, THEIR. Or they're an irritating group of people that live next door, THEY''RE. They are an irritating group of people. Oh, where did I put my balloon? It's over there. THERE, over there, meaning in the direction to which I'm pointing. He says bourbons generally don't change too much, but I guess there, THERE, are exceptions. They might be exceptions. I'm not aware of them, though. I've been drinking. I don't drink bourbon, you know. I've been tasting bourbons for like about 6 years. Have I noticed differences? Yes. Have I noticed appreciable differences? No, not really. That's what I notice. My wife always tells me that I think that that's my first miss in a while, but you're right. Sweating. He's sweating and laughing. Well, I've been known to make mistakes too. I remember back in 1996, I made a mistake. I think I made a mistake then. I'm error prone. I'm good for at least one error every decade, so I'll be the first to admit it. I'm very humble. And I'm proud to admit that. And in fact, I was thinking about making a series of billboards to put across the United States to declare how humble I truly am, you know, to trumpet my modesty, because I think I'm very modest and I want people to all know that, respect that, bow down to it, actually. But anyway, like Caligula said, didn't you realize that was my imperial modesty speaking? Dark Lotus said, been drinking bourbon since probably before 2005. Whiskey in general since before then. Oh, wow. It's pretty impressive. All right. So, okay. I think I got it nailed now. It's pretty close, but it's not like totally close. I think this is the ancient age. And I detected a little more strength. People say, I know you start talking about I, Claudius, and the episode where John Hurt is talking about you going, he told them, don't, he said, I'm going to fight the Germans. Don't make a monument to me while I'm gone. So when he was gone, they didn't make a monument. So when he came back, he was enraged because they didn't have any monuments made for him. So he's going to kill all the senators, you know. They said, but you told us not to make any monuments. He said, well, of course I told you not to make any monuments. Do you think I would order monuments for myself? Didn't you realize that was my imperial modesty speaking? My imperial humility speaking? So then he was going to cut all their heads off. And then his wife said, oh, no, don't kill him. You know, it doesn't look good. And then he said, truly the voice of a woman can soothe the breast of an enraged God. And he said, John Hurt, you know, you may go. And they all left hurriedly. But they fixed him up later on, you know, when he was at the races, not the races, the games at the Coliseum. Remember, they had a little problem where the door got locked. They said, the door's locked. Oh, can't get it open. Oh, look, here comes the assassins. Oh, well, tough luck for you. Haha. Anyway, people say, keep sipping on that bourbon. You're going to end up like Germanicus, Caesar Germanicus, Caligula, as they called him, Little Boots. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. I started bourbon in 1992. It's still my preferred thing. 92. Boy, in 92, I was drinking water and Coca-Cola. What was that called when they lined the men up after the battle, lost, and killed every 10th man? Oh, you're thinking of the French. You're thinking of the Great Mutiny in 1917 in France, when the whole army basically refused to fight because they had these socialist agitators say, we're not going to die for the rich man's, you know, whatever. Probably had a good point. But they, I think it was General, I want to say Pétain, but I don't think it was Pétain. I think it was Ferdinand Foch, Marshal Foch, F-O-C-H, Foch. He said, oh, what's the problem here? They said, we're going to rise up. We're going to rise up. We're going to eat frog legs. We're going to all leave the army and go to a boucherie. He said, oh, messieurs, don't worry about that. Who's angry? They all say, we angry, we angry. He said, oh, well. He counts down the line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You come over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You come over here. 1, 2, 3. And he goes down the line till they get like 10 men. And he tells the army, shoot them all. And they kill them all with a firing squad. He said, now who else is angry about this situation? Oh, no, we're not angry. They said, we're going back to the front and fight the Germans because they're going to make us eat mini sausages and we want to eat food with heavy creams and sauces. And we're not going to die. We're not going to let the Germans make us eat sausage in all those breads. So they had a big war, you know, and they won. All right. What was that? Okay. So that's it. Now, anyway, so end of the story. It is the ancient age. Ha, ha, ha. Proves nothing because I couldn't really tell it apart. So in a technical sense, I got it right. but in a practical sense, I couldn't really tell it apart. The only differentiation was that the ancient age 10 star had a slightly stronger body, and there might have been a little more noticeable wood, oak, of course, oak wood presence. But I don't think it was that. It wasn't much to really argue about. So still, I'm going to say Tom Sims wins in a practical sense because it is about $3 cheaper. So, I mean, we're cutting it close, right? But anyway, get Tom Sims, you save $3, but then of course you can't find Tom Sims. So you'll have to buy ancient age 10 star, but then the problem is you can't find this. So you might say, what's the whole purpose of this video? Purpose of the video. I would actually prefer people would not ask complicated questions on this Hangout. Well, the purpose of the video is just to do the total round robin. If I do one bourbon, I'm going to go against everything I own. Many of them are very obscure. Very obscure. But still, now what's coming up next? Something even more obscure, I think. Oh, sorry, not obscure. Jim Beam Prohibition Repeal. Yeah, it's pretty common. Non-chill filtered, 86 proof. I would assume this is going to win. It's a pretty quality product. I got it for $12.85, $12.89 at Walmart. Probably you're going to have to pay about $16 for it, but they had a really good deal. It didn't even ring up the right. It was actually $13.85 on the tag, but when I went and checked out, it rang up to $12.85. $12.89, sorry, $12.89. I would assume the Jim Beam's going to win. We got Bellows coming up after that, even more obscure, and I got it for the lowest price in the history of the world. 4-year age straight bourbon whiskey, true story. Lowest price in the history of the world. Then we're going to close out with George Dickel Cascade Hollow, which I got for even cheaper price. I got it cheaper than the cheapest price. And then George Dickel 12, number 12, which I also got for a criminal price, criminally low, suspiciously low. But I don't ask. I got to where I don't ask questions anymore. I just buy it. My friend Tom said, you ask too many questions. You talk too much. Just take the money. Take the money. Don't ask. Just take the money and deal with it later. I said, right. Well, that's it. Unless anybody wants to see these dessert wines that I recently bought, but probably nobody does. Mathern's got these dessert wines, and I was like, oh, no, that's the one I dumped out. It was the Marsala, I think. It was rancid. I said, well, knowing Dorgnax, it probably left on the shelf for 15 years. I said, I'll give it another chance. I'll give it another chance. But if you want to see dessert wines, I'll show you. But otherwise, let's see. Decimate. Romans killed every 10th soldier after a loss. Thanks, Google. Oh, okay. Decimate. Oh, decimal 10. Well, those Romans were not so nice. Speaking of ancient drinks, would you be aware of any wine that's formulated like old days, like lower alcohol type stuff? I'm not familiar with it. Wine today is way stronger than the first century. Yes, I believe that. I think I believe that. I'm not sure I believe that. Craft Beer Tastic says, let's see the wines. Okay, well, if you insist, the video's going long. Well, I need more water. Hold on. Gotta have water. Anything over 9% is altered. Table wine is usually low in ABV. That's right. No, not that I'm complaining. Smiley face. Well, Jesus turned water into wine at the wedding in Cana. Now, you say, well, I'm a member of the Church of Christ. We don't play music in church, and we know that it was grape juice. Oh, really? Now, you might say, well, I'm Catholic. I know he turned it into dessert wine. It was 18%. I really don't know. But I know that the people at the wedding reception said, this is amazing because usually, now read the Bible, like the Bible. If you read that story in the Bible, they said, well, usually at a wedding reception, they'll put the expensive wine out first. Like the really good stuff, the stuff from like Caesarea or Sidon, the good stuff, Cyprus. Then as people will be drinking and eating and partying and all of this and that, then they'll slip in the cheaper wine as the party goes on because they don't notice. This is in the Bible. He said, but this man at whoever's reception it was, they said he saved the best wine till last. But they couldn't believe it. The best wine they ever tasted. So that was remarkable. Now you see, when you read that story in the Bible, it's very remarkable because the normal way in Israel, Judea, the Roman province of Judea, or any of those areas back then, or even today, you put the expensive stuff out first so that people don't complain. Then once they've gotten into the reception, now by the time of the chicken dance, you're putting out the cheap stuff. They said, but it's amazing that they put the expensive stuff out at the end. So by just reading into context or reading by the context, you would clearly understand that it's not grape juice. I remember somebody telling me that back in the 80s. I was like, what are you talking about? And I wasn't even educated that well then. I was like, why would you think that was grape juice? Anyway, what the Bible calls new wine is actually juice. Right, new wine, juice. It's new. You just made it. It's not fermented. Normal wine would have been more of what we call fermented juice, right? Because they put, like, you don't put new wine in old barrels, right? New wine in old wineskins, so it'll burst. Chicken dance. Love the wedding in Cana as portrayed in the Chosen Web show. I've argued till I'm blue in the face with ministers. They swear Jesus made non-alcoholic wine. They're brain dead. I would say, Gary, that they're willfully ignorant. They know the truth. They know it's obviously he did not turn grape juice into better grape juice. You know what I mean? He did not take Welch's and turn it into what's that expensive apple cider that they sell that's way overpriced. It's obvious he turned water into wine. But they're scared, they're scared because if they start to believe that, then they'll all be going to RCIA and become Catholic. So, got to be careful. You'll turn Catholic. Grape juice would not keep long back in the Bible times. Right. Oh, they just put it in that, that Frigidaire, because, remember when the Romans invented the Frigidaire refrigerator? Okay. All right. So here's what I've got. I've got Gibson's Vineyards, family owned. Port. Now, I don't know if this is any good. I saw it arriving in a store last week. Mathern's had it. I said $8.99 a bottle. $18. $18. Oh, well, it did taste 2 bourbons. 18% alcohol from California. I said, well, what's the worst that could happen? I know it's fresh. It just came in. Port. Okay. Then I have Gibson Vineyards Sherry, 18%. 18%. Oh, golly. Wouldn't be drinking too much of this. Sherry, $8.99. So $8.99 and $8.99. And then I've got Gibson Vineyards Cream Sherry, 18%. So I figured I'd make a progression. Port, then I go to sherry, then cream sherry. I said, ooh wee. Well, time will tell, I suppose. Excuse me. Okay, just bought a Mogan David, not Morgan David. Everybody, I hear everybody say that. I'm going to get me some Morgan David. And I want to be like Jiminy Cricket and tell them, you ever notice that that word doesn't have a R in it? It's not Morgan David. All right. It's not JP Morgan. We're not watching what they call that, the Gong Show. It's Mogan David. Concord, nice, but I want bourbon. Well, I bought some Morgan David. I bought some Mogan David the other day. I got ripped off. I paid too much, but I bought the blackberry. Yeah. A lot of Protestant and charismatic leadership still has a holdover teaching from the holiness movement that was going on in the 19th century, says Dark Lotus, which led to the temperance movement and prohibition. King of the Dot says, I guess I'm not Jewish. Gary, I don't know what you are. My second cousin is Jewish. And that's a fact. Anyway, look, enough's enough. You're right, Dark Lotus. And a lot of that Protestant charismatic leadership, you know, the holiness movement, if you really research it, and I really do, you start tracing it back. It goes back to the Gnosticism. You say Gnosticism. Oh, Lord, here we go. Well, it does. It goes back to the Cathars and the Bogomils and the Waldenses. And those people were very strange, and they were involved in occultic practices, sort of like modern theosophy. And so what they believed was that, well, it was very strange. It was very strange. They believed that the physical world was evil. You say, this is crazy. Like the physical world, the world we live in, the physical world is evil. Okay. So any kind of pleasure you would get from the physical world, like drinking some wine and it's enjoyable, it's evil. That's evil. And they have a very bizarre interpretation of the Garden of Eden and all of that. So they extrapolate that into this rather warped view of how to live in the world. So they, of course, they were insufferable troublemakers. You know, they just went around France making trouble. You know the kind of people, you know them, I know them, we all know them. They got some crazy idea in their mind, and then they demand that everyone else on earth agree with them. And you say, why would I agree with that? It's like, well, I watched a 45-minute video. Watch the video. It's like, I know about these videos. These people are crazy. You know, you can't talk to them. So they, next thing you know, they're rampaging into the church, smashing all the idols. You know, they call it, thou shalt not have graven images. And they're smashing a statue or an icon. They'll go into a Orthodox church and smash or burn all the icons, all the pictures of Jesus. It's like, why are you burning these pictures of Jesus? That's a graven image. I'm like, no, it's not. It's painted. I was like, oh, I noticed at your house you had a picture of your mother on the wall. That's my mother. I love my mother. I was like, well, isn't that an icon? Do you worship your mother? Do you have an altar to your mother? Is she an idol? Do you worship your mother? How dare you say that? I say, well, I'm just using logic, you know, but why let logic get in the way of things? Okay, now we close out. King of the Dots, Geary says, great topic. Henry Ford and Rockefeller pushed prohibition also. They were mad. Okay, that was a division in early Pentecostal history, says Dark Lotus. They had splits over stuff like that. Had splits or still have splits, having splits. Oh my gosh. I'm going to go read The Kingdom of the Cults, y'all. Let me go get off of this so I can go read The Kingdom of the Cults from 1970.